Okay, so in today's video, we're going to go over how to add some text as well as using the offset tool to create our recessed pocket as well. So we should all be at this point right now. We've got our 10-inch long by 3.5-inch tall by 3/4 of an inch deep piece of material. So next we're going to go ahead and start laying out for adding our name and a little pocket that the name is going to sit in. So if you remember, everything always starts with a sketch. So I have it in isometric mode right now. This is what I like to do so I can make sure I can select the correct face. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new sketch. And just like the last time, it's asking me where to draw this sketch. I want to make sure I'm drawing it on that front face. If you notice, that's kind of highlighted. I want to make sure again that this front face is highlighted, and then I can click on that. So now that I've got my front face highlighted, the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to create that recessed pocket. So I'm going to use what's called the offset tool. So under our modify, we've got our offset tool right here. If you don't see it up here in the toolbar, if you click on modify, it will come down here to the drop down. And I'm going to go ahead and select my offset tool. I'm going to have that toolbar pop up here. I want to make sure that chain selection is checked. All right. So that's going to allow me to select the entire rectangle here. So I'm going to grab that. So I'm going to hover over it till it's highlighted. I'm going to click to select that. All right. My offset, I'm going to offset this 3/8 of an inch. So 0.375. So sorry, let me type that in again. 0.375. Now if you notice, it's offsetting it to the outside. So if I want to offset it to the inside, this number needs to be a negative number, or I could just come over here and click that little flip button, and it will make it that negative number for me. All right, once that's offset, I can just go ahead and click OK. All right, I do want to round over these corners here as well, just make it a little bit easier. So for that, I'm going to use the fillet tool. So again, that's up here under our modify. If you don't see it in the menu, it's going to be here. All right. And if I hover over that corner, you can see it adds that red line to fillet. I'm going to click on all of these corners, and then I'm going to set my radius. So you can see my radius is right over there on the side here. I'm just going to set my radius to same thing, 0.375. All right, you can see that just gives me a nice, subtle round over there. So from here, I just go ahead and hit enter, and I've got my fillet. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here. I'm going to go ahead and click save to save my work, and then I'll come back. Okay, so now that my work's been saved, what I'm going to do now is add some text. So one of the things is this is starting to look a little bit busy here. I've got a lot of these icons. I've got measurements. I've got constraints. So over here under the sketch palette, I'm just going to go ahead and check those to get rid of those. So my dimensions, I'm just going to deselect that, and my constraints, I'm going to deselect that as well. And I'm just doing that just to clean it up, make it a little bit easier to look at. So again, I'm still in that sketch. All right. You can see I haven't closed out of my sketch yet. I've got my original sketch for my rectangle, and now I've got my sketch number 2 for this pocket. So now what I want to do is just go ahead and add my name in here. Under Create, if I click on that, there's the text tool. So what I found works the best is to select and draw my text box the same size as my rectangle. It just will help me center this. So you can see I've got sample text here. All right, I've got my text window, and this will allow me to, just like any other text tool, so I can type out what I want. All right, I can select my font. I'm just going to pick a pretty basic one. Let's go. All right, fairly simple, fairly basic. All right, it's still pretty small, and I want to have it centered. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to align that to the center as well as to the middle. So now you can see it's in the middle and in the center. All right, I am going to make it bold. It's just going to be a little bit easier to cut out. All right, and then I'm going to change the sizing of it. Let's try 2 inches tall. So that's way, way too big. So let's go 1.75. Still a little bit too big. Let's go 1.5. So that looks pretty good. All right. If I wanted, I can make it italic as well. I can arrange the spacing. So say I want to spread that out a little bit more. Um, so I just spread that out. I just went ahead and typed in 15. I'm not sure if I'm able to, so if I wanted, I can even rotate it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that a little bit. I think that looks pretty neat. So I'm happy with how that looks. I just go ahead and click OK. The key is you want to make sure it's not touching this pocket that's here. All right, and you want to make sure you've got a little bit of distance between the two. And I click OK. So I've got my text, I've got my line. Now my text, if I want to change this, I can just double click and I can change it. So what I want to do now is I want to actually make this text into lines. So the way I do that is I right click on it and I go down to explode text. And now you can see it's made that into a line drawing. Okay. So from here, I'm happy with how everything looks. Again, this is just a line drawing that's on the front face of my work. So now what I want to do is I want to extrude that in. I want to push this part in to give a recess. So I click Finish Sketch. I go over here to my Extrude tool and I select that. All right, and I click my face here. And I do also want to make sure I click the inside of any interior letters. All right. I'm going to do a cut, so it's actually going to be a negative number. So my operation is going to be cut. All right. And this is going to be, I'm going to go negative 0.375, so 3/8. So negative 0.375. And you can see it kind of does it, and you can see that little pocket that it cuts out. And then I click OK. So there you have your little pocket, your text that sits there. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And in the next video, we're going to start to do our tool paths. All right. Thanks a lot.